is preparing dancers with professional dreams to take the world stage. Africa 54 starts right now.
Hello and welcome to Africa 54. I'm Chamberlain Uso at Channels Television here in Lagos. I'm joined by Esther Githuo-Ewart at Voice of America in Washington.
Thanks, Chamberlain. I'm Esther Githuo-Ewart at our global headquarters in Washington, D.C. Happy to be with you again for another edition of Africa 54. Let's start off with a look at barter trading. Chamberlain Uso in Lagos brings you that story.
Oh yes, numerous e-commerce platforms in Africa make buying and selling as easy as pushing the button. This is driven mainly by easy modes of payment such as cash transfers and voucher cards. But in some rural communities, going to the market is not only a routine, but in fact, trade by barter. Yeah, trade by barter is still very much in practice. That's the case in Cross River State, South Nigeria, where farmers and fishermen engage in the ancient form of trade once every week. Channels Television's correspondent Imani Ode has more.
Every Saturday morning as early as 6 a.m., buyers and sellers come from far and near to Esok Market in Akpabio local government area of Cross River State, where all sorts of wares are on sale right from the entrance. The commodities at the market are different from what used to be traded here centuries ago. Formerly the point of no return for slaves, this is now an access route for people coming from Bakassi, Cameroon and other West African nations by sea. The former slave market has become a vibrant market, retaining an ancient practice of trade by barter. Most of the transactions are done by exchanging one commodity for another. This is especially popular among farmers and fishermen who exchange what they have, such as seafoods, fruits, vegetables, oil and other produce to meet their demands.
You can do everything here. All the people there for that water side. You got fish come this place, come correct something.
But for non-farmers and traders, their purpose here is to purchase fresh farm produce at rock-bottom prices.
I am not a farmer, so I don't have farm products to exchange, so I am coming to buy.
The existence of such an ancient form of trading is linked to the community's remote location.
It baffles me that even up to this 21st century, that kind of trade is still going on in some places like Akpabio.
The community may be isolated, but the dwellers and visitors are not unaware of the need for better infrastructure and the impact it would have on the market.
Government to improve this market, the market is so poor.
The Esok market, located in this community of Akpabio, is one that should ordinarily draw government's attention to the community, as it says it lacks basic amenities. It is hoped that when next Channels Television visits this market, and of course the community, it will be wearing a new look. Imani Ode, Channels Television News.
Let's get more now on African societies and how certain practices are changing with the times. Well, joining us now is Dr. Augustine Agugua, Senior Lecturer of the Department of Sociology, University of Lagos. Welcome to Africa 54.
Yeah, thank you, Chamberlain, for welcoming me.
Well, maybe I should start by asking you, first of all, were you surprised that there's still trade by barter going on in Calabar?
Well, let me make something very clear. Culture, as a complex whole, as Taylor will say, which involves things like beliefs, knowledge, morals, laws, and all whatnot, and every other capabilities acquired by man as a member of society, is what you might regard as a very, very comprehensive understanding and appreciation of the concept of culture. But on another vein, on the issue of whether one should be surprised as to why trade by barter still exists in any part of the world. Culture is dynamic, it changes. But one aspect of culture which is silent but salient is the superorganic form of culture. When you're talking about trade by barter, it's a form of exchange, just like the issue of use of money as a form of exchange. Money, is just symbolic. But the main thing is that it facilitates the exchange of goods and services. It's to this extent, you might still see that for some people, it's easier and more convenient for them to engage in trade by barter.
Yeah, but we haven't seen that. And we know that, yes, cultures change, people's way of life,
exactly.
African society is inclusive.
Sure.
But how much do you think of that culture that used to exist still remains in Africa?
A lot of it remains, and a lot of them also seems to have changed. Because when you're looking at culture, as it involves your economic life, political life, social life, cultural, and all whatnot, in each dynamic sequence, every part of it is subject to one form of change or the other. Once you come in contact with different sets of people, with different ideas, with different attitudes, with different understanding, belief system, and morals. So it's to that extent you appreciate the fact that Africa, having come in contact with the Western world, the Arabic world, and the Orientals, in one way or the other, as Africa is changing, their contact with Africa is also changing their worldview and their attitude towards us. So it's a kind of mutual influence on each other, and it is global. So to a reasonable extent, Africa is changing, but like I said, the superorganic dimension of culture makes it imperative that in as much as changes are occurring in our various facets of life, there are certain things that are still germane, in their orientation relating to Africa that are still there that you can't really wish away.
Well, the thing is, time has a way of affecting culture across the world, but for those who want to preserve their culture and hand it down from generation to another, how would you suggest or recommend that they preserve it? Has it happened in the past?
Well, the truth about it is, just like in various schools, University of Lagos inclusive, we emphasize general African studies. One of the reasons, just like when I enter into some classes to discuss such issues, is to actually investigate how it used to be with the African society. Also, to hand over our germane but reasonable aspects of culture to posterity, and to debunk certain views and notions which are not truly African. And over the years, the truth about it is that having come in contact with a lot of people, the African society have been impacted in our way of dressing, in our mode of thought, in our knowledge system, political system, economic system, even religious systems. But the fact we mustn't run away from is the fact that some of the things we seem to have been impacted upon by this our contact with other parts of the world seems to have weeded away certain aspects of us that might not be necessary. Not that they are too bad. Just like as those people are impacting on us, we are also impacting on them. There are certain things the Western world learned from Africa, which as they go back to their various societies, in one way or the other, the most that can happen is that they modify it and adapt it as a way of life, because they came here and saw a people with certain modicum of attitude to life, which, if you go into certain aspects of history, they found very, very, interesting. The same way we also doing same, because cultural exchanges in terms of, call it conflict, both at the primary or secondary level, has to do with you come in contact with a set of people. There are certain things which you find very, very unique about them. You try to pin it down. And there are certain things which you find awful. You push it aside. Africa has equally reciprocated in that attitude of give and take.
Well, Uncle, at that point, Dr. Augustine Agugua, thank you very much indeed for joining us today on Africa 54.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Is preparing dancers with professional dreams to take the world stage. Africa 54 starts right now.